Okay. It looks like Miss Rachel is getting on here. So, what I'm going to be talking about with Rachel is a new series spotlighting Louisiana juvenile justice reform. It premieres season 8 of the acclaimed PBS documentary anthology Real South, with 11 new releases rolling out over 6 weeks beginning on Monday. So it's already started. 8 Days at Ware. It's an investigation into youth suicide and legacy of abuse in Louisiana's Ware Youth Center in Coshada. Let's see if. Okay, I see her. Let me see. We're going to bring her up live in just a second. Here we go. Okay. Hello, 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 Rachel. Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, and we can hear you, so we're off to a great start. Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So, can you tell us a little bit about this series? I mean, I know it's an ongoing series, but I'm really fascinated on the fact that you guys are spotlighting our Ware facility in Coshada.
Yeah, Meg, I don't know if my colleague Meg Schitzer is also here.
Hello, Meg.
Yeah, hi, Alexandria. Thank you so much for having us on today. It's great to be here.
Hey, Meg. Nice to see you. Can you tell me a little bit about the series?
Yeah, so Real South is a program put together by Louisiana Public Broadcasting and several other conglomerations in the South that highlights storytelling from the South. It's a part of PBS, and they had reached out to us, Meg and I, for our film 8 Days at Ware, since it takes place in Louisiana, and they wanted to include it as a part of their programming. So it will be premiering next week, April 24th on Monday at 9 p.m.
Okay, and it sounds really exciting. Could you ladies just tell me a little bit about why it was important for you all to highlight the Ware facility specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rachel and I are both filmmakers interested in criminal justice and juvenile justice. And when we learned that 2 boys had died by suicide at this facility in one weekend, it was just this moment where we both felt like we have to look closer at what's happening. It's really unusual for children to die in state custody like that. So to have 2 deaths is a big red flag. And so I think that's what prompted us um, to really come to Northwest Louisiana and want to understand more about what was happening there.
Absolutely. And through your research, what are some of the things that you ladies were able to highlight in this docu-series?
So this particular film, it's 26 minutes long. It looks at Solon is one of the boys who died. He had just turned 13, and it follows his family in the days preceding his incarceration at Ware and the impact on the family afterwards. And the film really looks at what went wrong at different stages, or moments that there could have been a change. So um, the judge deciding to keep Solon incarcerated rather than transfer him to a mental health facility. The facility, through public records requests, you can see that they had failed to do room checks when they were supposed to be doing room checks, and several other things that happened that the result of which was the death of this child.
Absolutely. And I feel like we're seeing more of these docu-series highlighting different instances of child abuse, or incarceration of children, specifically like how they're treated in the system. And we're seeing a lot of younger inmates and victims here in the Arklatex specifically. So what are you all hoping to achieve through this docu-series?
It's hard to say one thing that we're hoping to achieve, but I know that these facilities are really hard to see into, and for good reason. I mean, protecting the privacy of the children. But at the same time, that means that we don't know what's happening when our kids end up in juvenile detention centers. And so I think more than anything, we were hoping to, and it sounds a bit cheesy, but shine a light on what's going on in this facility and give people information and access, the people of Northwest Louisiana whose kids end up at this facility, to give them information about what's happening there. I think that was probably the main thing were trying to understand and do.
Absolutely. And so I don't know how familiar you are with uh, film um, the film scene here in Shreveport specifically, but we're kind of seeing more opportunities, and film prizes is a big thing here in our area. Do you think this will be the start of more people coming down here to do these types of docu-series?
I hope the film community can grow and thrive in Northwest Louisiana. I hope that there isn't a lot of other films that need to be made about this topic, because we hope that these kinds of things don't happen in the future.
Well, that I think that is absolutely fair. With us seeing so many young offenders, we're seeing a lot of 19-year-olds, 17-year-olds committing these crimes. We just had a mass shooting a couple weeks ago committed by a 19-year-old, and these kids can't own guns, or they can own guns, but they can't buy guns. So it's a problem we're seeing increase here specifically with offenders, and with the nonviolent offenders, we are seeing less severe sentences being carried out, but then they're reoffending. So I mean, what is your advice to those who have a part in the justice system? Because I know you mentioned the fact that, people are not always being given the best option, and that kind of puts them in these situations. What is your advice to those in the criminal justice system here?
That's a really challenging and complicated question. Um, I think that investing in preventative measures and support for families before kids are incarcerated um, I think is essential, so that these kids have the support they need to stay in school, to have mentors, to not have to resort to crime in order to feed themselves and their siblings. Often that's stories that we've heard about, how kids end up in these scenarios. And so I think starting young and investing in communities, which is incredibly challenging. That's, you can say it in a couple words, but it's a lot of work, and very complex. But I think that's where the most effective change can be made.
Absolutely. So can you tell folks again when and where they can view this docu-series?
Yeah, so 8 Days at Ware, the film, it will premiere 9 p.m. on Monday, April 24th. There's also going to be a free virtual screening of the film, followed by a panel discussion with Meg and I, and some other folks, advocates in the Louisiana juvenile justice system. That will be on the following day. It's Tuesday, April 25th at 6:30 p.m.
Okay, well,
And
thank you guys for
starting
joining
the
us.
24th, I was just going to say, I think it'll be available online on PBS on their website, starting the 24th as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you ladies so much for joining us. Do you have any final message for our audience?
I think the final message I'd want to share is just to watch this film. Um, Prepare yourself because it's emotional, but to watch this film as if it were your kid, and to really um, understand the experience of the kid, the family, and everyone involved. I think that's it's emotional, but it's worth trying to put yourself in those shoes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you ladies for the work you're doing, and we wish you luck, and we look forward to watching. I hope you'll join us again after it airs. We'd love to hear more about it.
Great, thank you for having us.
All right,
Thank you.
have a good one.